you're going to have the lows. You're going to have some down moments, whether it's in business or in a job or whatever. But as long as we're moving forward, that's all that matters. Just don't go backwards.
You're listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author Sarah Box. We focus on the mantra, no labels, no limits, no excuses. And now, without further ado, please welcome your commanding coach with plenty of chutzpah and heart, Sarah Box.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the No Labels, No Limits podcast. I'm Sarah Box, your host. And you know, the podcast is all about exploring how individuals break through boundaries to achieve extraordinary success. We're actually diving into a little bit different world today, which I'm super excited about, and that is the world of sustainable technology and urban planning as it relates to HVAC. And while that might not sound interesting to some of you off the bat, it's super interesting to me because it has a lot to do with our health, our well-being, and our internal and external environments. So let me tell you who's joining us today. We're being joined by Mark McNally. He's a visionary in this field of environmental sustainability. He is the Director of Sustainability at GreenTech Solutions, where he leads initiatives to integrate eco-friendly technologies into urban environments. And he has a passion for sustainable living and a commitment to innovation. And he's at the forefront of shaping greener cities for future generations. And before I hit record, we were just thinking that he might want to come out to our area of the country and have a chat. So with that, let me formally welcome Mark to the No Labels, No Limits podcast. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Sarah. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, so people will pick up right now that between the two of us, you've got the accent. I'm claiming I don't. And you're, before we get into your career and all of that, could you share about your, what inspired you to come here and to relocate to America and get into this field?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Sarah. So, originally from Belfast in the north of Ireland. So I'm sure picking up on the accent, I haven't lost too much of it in the 18 years I've been here in North Carolina. But I met my wife in Ireland. She's from Belfast as well. But her mum had been born in America, so she had dual nationality. And we just, we had a family. We had our first home. We had our first daughter. Decent jobs in Ireland, but there was just something niggling at us to go try America and, see what there was to offer over there. And we'd done a few trips, to my wife's family in New York. And eventually one year we're like, you know what? I don't want to live with any regrets. Let's just leave the jobs, rent the house out and land in America and see what happens. And that's what we did. We basically packed a suitcase each. Me, my wife and my daughter packed one suitcase. Daughter was 3 years old. Very excited to travel, but not realizing that we were going across the other part of the world. And we landed in Florida with no jobs, somewhere to stay with her grandparents for a couple of weeks. And that's how it all started. And, fast forward 18 years, we're up in North Carolina and we've got a couple of successful companies that I now own. And it's been a great journey.
I love that story. Just the sense of seeing the three of you each with a suitcase going, right? Now, do you still have your property in Ireland?
No. So we rented for about a year. And then finally, when we realized that here was where we wanted to be, we sold the house. And actually about 2 years, we sold the house and we bought one in North Carolina.
Nice.
But it was definitely a challenging first year because when you move over and you have no jobs lined up, you're like, all right, what are we going to do? We just have to figure it out when we get there. But it was day 2 of us landing in Florida that my wife's grandfather, Charlie, had lined me up with an interview for a filter company in South Florida. And I knew nothing about air filters. In Ireland, you don't even really need air conditioning, right?
No, you've got different weather.
Exactly. If you need some air conditioning, you open the window. That's the way it works back there. But, I knew I needed to work and I wanted to work and I interviewed and I got the job right away and the guy started me immediately. So that's what introduced me into the world of air filtration and heating and air conditioning.
Well, I'm curious, as you've been in this world, have you come across either a recent or an earlier innovation that really you thought, okay, I know I came into this field a little bit sideways, but this is such a cool invention that it could make a huge impact here? Yeah,
absolutely. So, although it started with a filter company in Florida, after about 6 months, we wanted to come up to North Carolina because some of my wife's family moved from there and they kind of located here. And I couldn't have picked North Carolina on a map in Ireland. I never knew anything about it. But when we moved up, the guy that I worked for in Florida, Joe Bricketto, he called an air conditioning company in Raleigh and said, hey, I've got this Irish kid. He's a really good worker. I've been fond working with him, but he's moving up that direction. Do you have any work for him? So I interviewed with him, and he gave me the job right away. Just kind of labor work and going out there in the truck doing the work. And after just over 10 years working with him, me and another partner in the company, we purchased that company for $1.2 million. And that was a commercial heating and air conditioning company. So we were running that successfully for a few years, and obviously then COVID hits everybody, right? And, things start slowing down, but I'd already been in the industry. I knew air filtration very well from my history in Florida and then in Raleigh. And when COVID hit, everybody wanted to improve indoor air quality, right? They wanted to do something to improve the health. And although air conditioning and indoor air quality was important to us all the time, now everybody else is starting to be more conscious of it. So, I thought to myself, there's a better way to do this. I've got to invent a better product that's just not out there on the market right now. And that's how our eco-friendly air filter with Filters Direct USA was started.
So talk a little bit about that, because I have a ton of questions about it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ask them to you one after another.
Sure.
But are you talking about HVAC systems or heaters for different types of structures? I guess, whether they're HVAC or maybe they've got passive heating and different air filtration in the house. What are we talking about here?
So we've always done a lot of air conditioning and air filtration in the Raleigh and North Carolina area. And what we did with the air filtration is we would filter homes, we would filter public schools, charter schools, medical facilities, all of that. Well, obviously, when then COVID happens, the home is the new office, right? People are working more from home. So the filter that we use and we invented is for the air conditioning system. So most people have the return grills in the wall or up on the ceiling or even in their air handler, and they've got to replace them. But they weren't really good about replacing them on time like they're supposed to. So when we decided to invent our own, we had the eco-friendly, mindset of, all right, we need to make it better for our environment. We want to make it healthier, but we also want to implement a system where the homeowner doesn't forget to do it. Because, most people are in tune now with buying bulk to get discounts and buying online on Amazon and whatever else. But whenever that package comes, the first thing you do is you move it into the closet or into the garage out of the way, right? And you just
You're speaking my language.
Yeah, you're a victim to it as well.
Yeah.
And you just don't remember to do it on time. So, although you had good intentions of, all right, I want to buy a good air filter because I want to keep our home healthy and the people in it healthy. But whenever you stick it away and you forget about it, you've just eliminated that whole thing. So we've got a few things that we put in place to make sure that we cover all those bases. So
what makes, I don't know the number of the air filters, and I laugh about it goes in the garage, but my husband has a system and it's in his calendar. So on a specific day, all the time, he switches them out unless he forgets, but he knows because it tells him, hey, air filter.
Yeah.
So I don't worry about it. But I'm wondering, when you talk about eco-friendly, I know we buy ours in bulk. What is the difference between the materials that are being used out there on the market now?
Yeah, so good question. I mean, obviously my background in air conditioning has kind of led me down a path of, all right, I know how air filtration works. I know how airflow for an air conditioning unit needs to work. And I know that people want to be healthy in the home. So when we talk about things being healthy, we're not just talking about the air conditioning unit being healthy. We want the people to be healthy as well. So it's got to be a balance between both. And, unfortunately, the COVID years kind of scared everybody into, I've got to buy the highest MERV rating filter on the market because I want to kill COVID, right? I mean, the negative on that is you're just restricting way too much airflow. And when that happens, people get sick in the home because the home gets stagnant, with the air quality. So what we did with the eco-friendly version of ours, we made a plastic reusable filter frame. And then we send inserts, like refills, inside that frame. So the eco-friendly part is it's less waste. Most people, they'll throw away that cardboard filter and it's got all this paper on it, cardboard wire, and it's just too much waste, honestly. So our plastic reusable frame means you keep the frame, we send the inserts, and it's a balance between good airflow, but a healthier home as well. So it's covering both bases on that. And then Yeah,
Go ahead. No,
I was just saying, because it's an auto subscription, it's an auto delivery, like it delivers on the doorstep based on what you set it at. So that's the reminder.
Here's your message. It's time to change it.
Yeah, it's time to change it. Package is on the door.
Yeah, walk over it, pick it up.
Yeah.
Or don't. But so what are some of the ways that people, because it can be subtle, right? If you don't change your air thing, it's not like one day you wake up and go, oh, I forgot to change the filter. It's incremental over some time, right? So if the inside of our home's not quote unquote healthy, what are some of the things we might notice?
Yeah, so unfortunately, because it's that hidden thing, it's hidden behind that trapdoor, right? That grill on the wall or the ceiling, you forget about it. You go about your daily job and different tasks in the home, and that's the forgotten one, unfortunately. And what will happen is, things start growing on the outside of it, and that's normally the trigger point for someone. Like, oh, that dirty on the outside, like, what does it look like behind there? And people forget that it's such a simple task, changing an air filter, but when you don't do it, like, you're running up your energy costs on your air conditioning, because that's the most consumer of energy in the home, is your AC unit. So you're just running up your energy bill. The airflow's not moving through the home like it's supposed to. So you're not getting the dust out, especially in Nevada where you are, Sarah. But, you're also just making everybody unhealthy in the home. So, people will walk up and they'll try to get that air conditioning down. It's like, why is it not getting to 70 degrees? I feel hot in here. The simple part of it, the most simple aspect, being the air filter, is such an important piece that's the first thing you should be doing. It just leads to more issues on the air conditioning, more expenses when it breaks down. You got to call the AC guy. And, a lot of what we try to do lately is debunk some of the myths out there. Well, my AC guy said I should put the cheapest filter in there because I want good airflow. You want a filter as well, right? We want to keep both healthy, the AC and the home. So we try a lot to debunk that.
Yeah, I don't think about it until something's not working. You assume, and you can smell, like, if you haven't done it, it's okay. It's like at the end of the season, you've used your air and now it's winter, late fall, and it's cold. So you hit your heater, right? You can tell there's dust sitting on the elements, right? Because you're going, oh man, this thing needs a good shakeout because it's sitting. Yeah. But you don't necessarily get that. I mean, that's such a change. Yeah. And that doesn't happen when you're running one unit all the time, just a little bit.
And we tend to think of it like a big mask. Again, over the last few years, people have got more used to some masks during COVID or when they're unhealthy and they want a mask. The filter is like a big mask for your home, right? It's the mask in front of the air conditioning unit before it moves all that air back into the home. So we kind of look at a filter like a mask for your entire home. Why wouldn't you keep that healthy and keep that clean?
Yeah. So now the filters, where do the filters go in the system?
Yeah, so most times the air filters goes in that return register. People have a grill on the wall or on the ceiling. They open it up, they put the filter in, and that's it for, good 1, 2, or 3 months. So that's what we do. We kind of give them the option to pick that 1, 2, or 3 months. But, it didn't come without a lot of, struggle and trying to grow a direct-to-consumer product, which we knew nothing about, and I wouldn't say I was an inventor, but there's things that I started tapping into that realized, okay, my history of being 3D designed, college back in the community college, maybe I was an inventor all along. I just didn't know it, So we spent about a year in manufacturing, product development, trying to create a product from scratch. And we wanted to do it in the US because although there's a lot of things done overseas and they make really great product and very cheap, but me and my partner, Tim, we had a goal. We wanted to make this in the US, although it may be a bit more expensive and it may take us a bit slower to get it going. And finally, after about a year, 2 years, we're up and running. We do it all out of North Carolina, which has been a great success story for us.
It is, and it's good for North Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
good for the business there. So let's talk about sustainability, because I know that's a big deal for you. Define sustainability. Like, what makes something sustainable in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, so, for us, we have lots of different things that we look at when it comes to that. Obviously, the eco-friendly part in the beginning, was one aspect, but on the back end of it, our product is made from recycled products, recycled plastics. And what we did at the end of last year, we tried to implement more features into that where we could start giving back, and what we did was we partnered with a company called Tidy Ocean, and they remove plastics from the ocean, which if you've ever seen that down in Guatemala and different countries, I mean, there's rivers that are just filled with plastic because it all seems to gravitate south for some reason. So what we did was we partnered with them. So for every purchase that a customer makes, and even their after purchases, their subscriptions, we remove a pound of plastic with every order. And that's no charge to the customer. It's something we take out of our profits. We remove a pound of plastic. So we've done about 1,500 pounds already in the last couple of months, and that's just going to keep growing as we grow. So our sustainability is, the eco-friendly aspect of it, but also the recycled plastic sustainability on the back end is what we're hoping for.
Yeah, that's a huge social benefit to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's, for us, obviously, it's a bit of a loss financially because, you lose some profits because you're essentially donating. But, it just felt right for us to do something like that because our product is a plastic product. The frame is plastic. There's some recyclable materials in our filter material. So it just felt like a good full circle connection, and eventually it'd be great to use those plastics to start reusing and make the product that we make. That's the future goal. It's going to take some time to get there, but
how far out do you think that is? Because I think that too. Like when I look at plastic, and in a lot of the stuff I'll notice now, like made with 50% reuse plastic, right? I'm going, cool.
Yep.
Product's great. I even noticed on some of my clothing, I'm going, cool. Because like the fabric's great. Made with recycled plastics. I'm going, nice.
Yeah.
But how long do you think we are, how far away are we, Mark, from having that be a full cycle?
To answer that question, sir, like we're already there. We're just not having it done by the recycled material that they're pulling out of the ocean. So our material, our filter material is made from 80% recycled plastic fibers. So, for anyone out there that wants to be eco-friendly and, environmentally friendly, it doesn't always have to be recycling afterwards. There can be recycling because the product you're buying was made from recyclable materials. Because that's another misconception that air filters out there are recyclable because they're paper and cardboard, but there's other material in there. There's wire, there's chemical in it. So it's not even recyclable afterwards. We try to do our recycling on the front end, is what we're doing. But there's so many companies out there that are doing that right now. You talk about clothing. I mean, there's a local entrepreneur here in our area, Holden, that's making swimwear from recycled materials. From plastics. So it's being done.
So not to make a joke out of it, but do you float better in those?
yeah, true. Maybe.
I want my swimsuit out of plastic so I can float better. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah. But okay, so think about in your industry, when you talk with other folks in the industry, do they seem to share your mindset about the sustainability piece, or are people more about having a bigger margin?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we're kind of going off the trend a little bit because we're doing it in that eco-friendly and that plastic recyclable version. Most in our industry with air filtration are doing what's been done for decades. It's the pleated filter. They're kind of just jumping on the bandwagon of, all right, we know this has worked for decades. Let's just jump on the same model that we know has been proven. So for us, when we took another path, yes, it takes a little bit more time to explain the situation that we're in. The product we've created is different. But we're happy that we kind of took a different road. I mean, that's been my whole life. I haven't stayed on the normal path. I wouldn't be where I am if I did, right? And I usually call myself the accidental entrepreneur because I had no intention of getting into business ownership or, creating a product and launching another business. That was never in my mind. But, going back years ago, when I grew up, my mom and dad always had two jobs in Ireland. They did what they needed to do to provide, get us on vacations throughout the year. And then when I started working, I was doing two jobs as well. I was DJing on the side and kind of hustling and thinking it was just because I was motivated to make money. But now looking back, that's probably the beginning of entrepreneurship, right? You've got that drive to
the buzz.
Yeah.
You got the buzz. And like you said, the drive, because, I have to point out DJing and HVAC are not that linked, but
Yeah.
but they're both creative. Well, the way you talk about it and how you think about your business is creative,
Yeah.
and music is creative.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your fascination with green urban areas. So do you have is there a particular area that you think has done really well in that?
In that space?
Mm-hmm. Like a city or an area that you say, I mean, it's not a whole city, but it's a part of a city, and this is like a great model we could look at? Or is this something that you're seeing bits and pieces of?
Yeah, I mean, for us, I mean, because of what we're selling, like we have no limitations. I mean, it's not like we're only targeting areas that are really in tune with being greener and more eco-friendly. Every home in America essentially is using an air filter. Now, certain states are using it more often, like in Nevada or Florida. They may need to do it more often than others. But for us, we're not just saying, hey, we're an eco-friendly, sustainable product. Let's really target the states that are all about green energy and green homes. But a lot of people are going that way anyway. You know, they're seeing that when you build a home and you make it more greener and more, energy efficient, where the windows are tighter, the home in itself is not losing as much energy and air conditioning. That's going to happen all over the country. That's not in just green areas. You know, from us being in the air conditioning industry, we're already seeing that in the homes in North Carolina. They're being more conscientious about, like, how do I make this home greener? What do I do to make it to where it's not using as much energy as did before, whether that's the air conditioner or anything else in the home. I think that's going to spread out across the country. It's not just in homes, it's businesses as well.
I think about that. I mean, I actually don't know. I'd be making it up how many days a year we have sun, but I would say it's more days than most.
Yeah.
It's mostly, and if it's overcast, it's only overcast briefly, and it's a high overcast, so you're still getting sun come through.
Yeah.
So when I watch new construction go up, I'm thinking, is board construction? Why aren't we using the cement mixes, the things that actually retain heat or coolness, whatever? And I'm so fascinated by that. And then, and I'm going, every house could have a collector on it. They don't. It's aftermarket stuff. So I'm hoping that you're right and that it just starts being part of, like, when people go into do development, that the first thing they're asked is, show us your ratings, and it has to be at this high rating so that it's not an aftermarket thing that goes on the homeowner who may not be able to afford to do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you got builders out there, they're going to do it at as low a cost sometimes as possible. They're not really thinking about the homeowner afterwards. And you see that sometimes because you'll go into a home or a building after, like, what were they thinking when they made it like this? Like, this is crazy. But it's cost, they're not really thinking the homeowner afterwards. So I hope more builders out there that are more conscientious about, all right, I want to make this homeowner happy, when they move in and they see that things are just done in a more greener way, let's say, because of the way they built it. In Ireland, we moved here and we saw how the houses are built with these wooden panels, and you used to see some stories on the news about the hurricanes and tornadoes and stuff, and complete cities were just, flattening. Like, that's crazy. I've never seen anything like that. But then you come over and you see how the houses were built, versus brick homes in Ireland. So
now, are you mostly brick in Ireland, or sod brick? Yeah. My fantasy was to have like a sod house or a geodesic dome, but they're very different. But also the orientation, to the house, to the direction. And we bought this house. I didn't know anything about that, but the way we are oriented with the sun in the south, so like when it does snow here, our front yard melts. Our neighbors, their front yard is in the shade, and when it snows, they're shoveling until April. So
we're the same.
Uphill.
Yeah, we're the same. You're talking my language. Our driveway is uphill. We're in the shade. Like, it's snowing in North Carolina now, and I'm out there with the snow, the blower, trying to get the snow gone, because if I don't do something, it's going to sit there for days and ice over.
Or it'll ice over. And
yeah.
No, but it's just those little things. But I will tell you, I wouldn't, like, someone said, well, wouldn't it be great if your house faced this way? I said, I don't want windows on the west side of our house. It will bake in the summer, right? So, but I'm thinking, there are houses that are oriented that way, just it's not ours. We're on a tiny street. So I think about that. I'm going, these things when you put airflow and houses in and cross ventilation. So I'm hoping you're right and that there's more consciousness going into it.
Yeah, it's only going to get hotter. So, if they don't continue to do something with the home to make it tighter, make it more, eco-friendly, greener, then it's just going to start costing the homeowner more expense on down the line.
How long do you put the whole system in, or are you only focused on the air filtration?
So we do, with our mechanical company, FSI Mechanical here in North Carolina, we do commercial. So we do commercial buildings, medical, public education, and restaurants, retail, all of that stuff. But we do it all. Like we do unit replacements, all of that. But on the residential market, it's our filter company, Filters Direct USA. We essentially took what we know works really well in the commercial medical sector and public schools and charter schools and said, well, if we're making their spaces really healthy, why is the homeowner being neglected? Why are they just relying on the cheap stuff they buy in the store or buying wrong online? So we brought that into the residential market with Filters Direct USA.
So I have a question that it just occurred to me. You'd think it'd be the first one that I thought of, but compared to like what we're paying and how we're using our filters now, I'm using us as an example. We're not that different from most folks. What would be the overall change in price? So like I'm getting this on a subscription, don't have to think, they show up and switch them out. But over a year's cost, maybe, is it comparable? Is it a little more expensive for you or less? Or how can someone think about this?
Yeah, so I mean, it depends on what they're doing, right now. So some people are either buying too high a MERV rating and they're overpaying. They're probably paying $25 or over $20 per filter, whether that's at the store or online. Then you have the bottom spectrum where they're buying the cheapest thing that they can find, because it's not important to them. What we have is I feel like it's a middle of the road price point, but it's because it's a direct auto shipment, it drops on the doorstep. So every one of our filters are all $18. It doesn't matter the size, and it's always free shipping. And on the first order, we give them that plastic reusable free with that first order, which for us was huge because when we started out, the price to make that was so expensive and we were giving it away free. We're like, do we even know what we're doing? We're not a profitable.
It's a good business model.
It's a good business model, yeah. But we didn't want to have that roadblock where it's an unknown product to someone. And they're like, well, why would I pay extra to buy this structure that I don't even know what that is? It's not what I've been using before.
Right.
So we said, all right, no matter if we're not profitable in the beginning, we're still going to give it away free. And eventually we'll bring manufacturing in-house and get those costs down, which is what we did. But we provide that plastic reusable free with that $18 filter. So if a homeowner has 2 filters at the home for $36, they get 2 eco-friendly plastic reusable frames with a filter in it the first time, free shipping, and that's no matter where it is. We ship all over the US, and then it's the same cost every 1, 2, or 3 months.
Nice. So, well, it's predictable that way.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the last few years we've tried to figure out what's the pain point with people, what separates us from the competition, and there's a lot of things with our product that's different. But some of the main features was people just couldn't find the sizes that they needed, especially now when we talked about these homes being built differently. They're now putting more filters in more rooms to try to move more airflow and get every space a little more comfortable. But within doing that, they're putting in smaller filters in different rooms. And those small filters could be a 12 by 12 or a 12 by 20. They're just an odd size that not every store is keeping a good stock of. So, this year, it's funny, this past couple of months, I kind of brought myself back to basics a wee bit. I own the company, but I want to be out there and listen to my customers. So I did a couple of home shows to dive back into what is important to the homeowner. Like, why is my product interesting to them? And a lot of what I found out was it's the sizes. Like when I can provide all of their sizes, even of their odd ones, and they deliver, now they don't have to go to the store and go, okay, you've got the standard 20 by 20 that I know I need, but what about these other 2 weird sizes? Now I got to leave the store with one of 3 and find the other 2 somewhere else. So that was interesting for me to find out that's an interesting part of our product that they liked.
It's so when you describe that, I'm thinking, I hate that when you have to go to multiple places to get something simple.
Yeah.
So that's when you go, okay, Amazon, do you have what I'm looking for? It's a frustration level more than anything, because I really do like supporting local, like walking into a store, even if it's a chain. People are working there, it's their jobs. All right. So you've been this entrepreneur, you've got a couple of businesses going. What's next on your horizon?
I mean, we're 3 years into Filters Direct USA, so our goal is to really, grow that, a lot, because there's a lot of potential. We cover the entire US, so that's my main focus. As an entrepreneur, you definitely want to balance business and family, and that's very important to me. So my kids are getting older. My daughter's 21, my son's 15, and my youngest is 10. We want to travel. We did a lot of traveling last year, and this year we're going to do just as much, because they're not going to be with me in this home forever. So we got to capture those moments as much as we can.
Do you travel in the States, or do you go back to Ireland, or?
A bit of both, yeah. Last year we did a lot of traveling together back to Europe, and actually going to Ireland this year as well. So yeah, we did quite a bit in different parts of the world. It's starting to show the kids different countries is our goal.
It's a great time to go too, because they'll remember it.
Yeah. But I'm also trying to get, my kids have seen my path already. They know how hard I work and the things that I'm doing, but starting to get them introduced into, how to be an entrepreneur, how to sell, how to, create a product. So we actually invented another little product together as a family. So we're actually launching that one together. That's called Poo Caddy. And it's
tell me more.
Yeah, so it's funny. It came accidentally again. We were making our plastic reusable frames at our warehouse in North Carolina, and we have a golden retriever. So anyone that goes to our website and sees the golden retriever on there, that's our dog Tato. But we made a key ring with his dog's head, and when we made it, we're like, that could be used for something else. So when we hooked it to the dog leash, you can actually slip a dog poop bag in the nose.
Oh, nice.
And it held it as you walked to the trash can. So we launched a whole company around that, made more products where we can customize the dog name, and it's now a product we launched online called Poo Caddy. So
I like it.
It's fun to get them involved, and they can see how exciting it is to get a sale. I mean, that never stops, even for me as an entrepreneur. Like when I hear that noise of a new order coming in, it's in an abnormal state that we didn't really focus on, like Arkansas or Iowa, things like that. And it's exciting to get a new customer in those states.
Fun, because then it's word of mouth or something. Going into the dog industry or that type of thing, smart move, because all of us with animals look, and it's like you're going out with a poop bag. You're either tying it to something or whatever, something.
Yeah.
So let me ask, just so I understand how this works. If you have to pick up poop, the dog can carry it on their collar?
No, funny you say
just to keep it empty, right?
Yeah. So this actually goes on the dog leash where the handle is, and you hook it there, so you don't have to hold it yourself. This mechanism is holding it for you.
Very good.
I've
had much experience.
Well, it's funny you asked that, because we did a little vendor pop up together at a brewery, and the lady that invited us to come out says, "Ew, you're making the dog carry his own poop?" I was like, no, because she thought the same thing, that you hook it to the dog leash, and you can imagine the dog poop just smacking off the dog.
Now, what if it breaks? And then I told you guys this would be a different conversation, but I just like the way people's minds work.
When you get an Irishman on a podcast, you never know what direction it's going to go in, right?
I like it. It's good. It's a good sense of humor. You have to have a good sense of humor. And so your kids have to be excited about that too, though.
Yeah, they are. They're definitely excited to kind of help create it and launch it and see us make up logos and all the stuff that is involved with creating a product and all the workings behind it, website and marketing especially. I mean, that's the fun part, especially in today's world with TikTok and Instagram, Facebook. Like, you can get the kids involved with making just little silly videos about a product, and they can see that turns into a sale. It's pretty exciting for them to see that,
and it's stuff that's right in their wheelhouse.
Yeah,
Keep
absolutely.
doing it. It's a great example of you can have fun while you're working.
Yeah, I mean, I hope everyone eventually gets to that point where they have fun at their work. I love going to work. I hate staying at home. So definitely enjoy what you do for sure.
Yep.
But
Or
the
at
more,
least find something about it. I mean, I've had jobs that are more fun than others, but you can always find something. It might
absolutely.
not be huge, but you can have the right attitude and work can be pretty interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the marketing part is fun, but also challenging. That's the most challenging part is we've got a great product that we know we love and others love because they've been on it for years now, but like showing the whole US it is a tough challenge that I've realized, all right, that's not what I thought it was going to be. I thought we'd just make this product and we'd launch it on there and everyone goes, oh, we love it, bum, bum. And you're selling all over the US. It's not the case. You got to still work hard after you've got the finished product. So.
Well, and you're different. So different needs a different, different is people don't get it right away.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that when someone goes, well, this is what this does. And I'm thinking, well, is it like this? No, not quite. And I'm thinking, help me understand. Because, sometimes you'll get that and you think, whoa, what a great idea. How come no one thought about that before?
Yeah.
And I love those moments when I'm thinking, what a great thing to have a frame that then you're just replacing the filters within the frame. How cool is that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's great when we get customers that will do the review for us and it's kind of constant, clarification. All right, we've created something really good because they got it, they used it multiple times, or just even the first time getting it, and they'll take the time to go and make a review and go, this is a great product. It's a reassurance that all right, we did something really good.
Yeah, you're on the right track.
Yeah, even if sales dip for a way, you're like, are we sure we got something good here? And then you get that confirmation that just pops in. It's like, all right, we're back on track again. Let's keep going,
So no labels, people. We're all the same. We all get our little doubts that pop up and go, am I on the right track still? And sometimes it's you got to just keep going, right? And then you get those affirmations or you get different feedback. Like someone could say, Mark, I really like this, but we're having trouble with it at this. And then it's an opportunity for you to do something, modify, right?
Yeah.
So feedback is our friend.
Absolutely. I mean, there's definitely lots of ups and downs with either being an entrepreneur, business owner, product, whatever. You have those lows, but, there's always a high around the corner. I used to say you don't have to know where you're going as long as you're moving forward. And, that's been my mentality is like, I don't have to know where the path is, but as long as the path is moving forward, then we'll figure it out,
Yep. So how has your work influenced your kids? I know they're working alongside you. Have they talked about wanting to go into business for themselves? Or are they looking at more traditional career paths? Do they have a thought at this point?
Yes. I mean, they obviously have seen the hard work ethic that I've had. I had multiple jobs for years. Interesting, my son a couple of years ago, he's 15 years old now, but, they come on the weekends and they need extra money to go do this and do that. And, you're able to say, listen, let's sit down for a second. Like, what is there that you could do to earn your own money? So a couple of years ago, we actually, we created this mobile car washing unit. So one of my neighbors in the neighborhood had this, cart, that you can attach to the bike and you can put a toddler in there.
Yeah.
And her kids were growing up. She didn't need it anymore. So I was like, all right, I'll buy it off you. And she said, no, you can just take it for free. So me and my son brought it into my warehouse and we manufactured this cart, this washing cart that you can put all your tools and equipment in. And he took off with his buddy and they're out washing cars in there. And the excitement that he had of just making his own money and coming back like, I made $100. He's like, there you go. See, you got to open your mind and be creative. And there's definitely ways to make money and whether that carries him on in his future or not, or he realizes that entrepreneurship is attainable, like it's not such, something that not everybody can have. We'll see. He's still young, but my daughter, she's studying for dentistry. She's had a, interest in that for many years because she did dental work herself. So we'll see where she goes. My youngest is still, well, my youngest is 10 years old and she's already the one that feels like she's got her path all laid out. Like she's like, I'm going to go to Harvard. I'm going to be an anesthesiologist. Like, okay.
Go girl.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
You know what? Some kids do have it all figured out. We have one grandson who at 6 said, this is what I'm going to do. And so far, he's now almost 18. He's been taking one step towards that. I don't think anybody's been, and it was like, no, I'm going to do this. And he keeps going closer and closer to it. I don't know, but some kids just have that in them. So won't that be fun when you have an anesthesiologist in the family?
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I had no clue, you know. I mean, if you had asked me growing up in high school or back in Ireland, I just had no clue what I wanted to do. You know, I was into 3D design and art, so I went to community college for a couple of years doing 3D design, art stuff, but no idea what I really wanted to do. I thought architecture maybe, but eventually I just wanted to work. I wanted money, I wanted to hustle, and got a job, and that was it. But it's funny when we started down the path of creating a new product, right away I'm sketching, I'm drawing, I'm doing 3D models, I'm doing prototypes. And looking back now, I was like, all right, I had that skill. I just never really tapped into it for a decade or more. But now that I want to create a product, I've got the skills to do drawings and to do designs and cut things out of a pizza box and create a prototype. So it was pretty cool to bring that back full circle from from my childhood. You know?
I really think, especially the older I've become, there's nothing that I've learned that hasn't served me in one way or another. Even my odd jobs, right? I'm thinking, well, that was kind of a weird job. And I'm going, oh, but you learn so much there, you know, but you don't necessarily know it in the moment. But you're right. It kind of comes full circle, which is fun, you know, and I had no clue either what I wanted to do. I just figured I'll figure it out, but then I never figured it out. So I just kept trying new things. It's like, well, I'll do that, you know, I'm good with it. And then I settled in, but I settled in like in my 40s.
Hey, it's never too late.
Never too late.
It was the same for me with DJing. I mean, I got into DJing because back in Ireland, I just loved spinning records, and eventually I got DJing in some clubs in Ireland. Moving to the US, it became a good backup plan because we wanted to have more kids. My wife wanted to stay at home, be a stay-at-home mom and raise the kids. And I said, all right, I've got this skill that I can go out and DJ on the weekend, but now you're tapping into that personality where you're confident to be up on a microphone and in front of a big crowd. And, you know, those are the skills that you can start moving into your future because, you know, today, whether I'm meeting with other business owners or doing a home show or networking in the local area, like you have the confidence to really talk to people and not be afraid to sell your product or talk about your product. I mean, most of my marketing I do right now is me in front of a camera on Instagram or doing a TikTok video. I mean, it didn't intend it to be that way, but if I'm confident enough to put a video together and talk about it, you know, I'm probably the best person to be out there in front of my own product and my own business, you know.
So listeners, regardless of what you're coming to your work with or your entrepreneurial skill set with, it's not wasted. It may not show up right away, but someday you may surprise yourself when you're thinking, oh, I know how to do that.
Absolutely.
You know, I'll do that. So, Mark, I like to let our guests leave the audience with a last word, something to think about that you've learned that you found particularly helpful when you face your own ups and downs.
Yeah, I mean, you know, back to what I mentioned about, you know, you don't have to know where you're going as long as you're moving forward. Like that helps me a lot because when I have those down moments where I don't feel like the business is going the right way or I'm not getting, you know, traction on what I want, that's the constant reminder that I have to tell myself, hey, Mark, you know, you're going to keep moving forward. So stop worrying about it. You know, you're going to figure this stuff out. It's just having a positive attitude. You know, you're going to have the lows. You're going to have some down moments, whether it's in business or in a job or whatever. But as long as we're moving forward, that's all that matters. Just don't go backwards.
Don't go backwards. Okay, you guys who are listening, not you guys, Mark, but you guys who are listening, we have Mark's contact information so you can reach out to him. I'm going to find out what we're using and check out what you're doing, Mark. I'm super interested in what you're doing, how you've approached your work, the innovation, and then the ability to reuse at the front end, not just to use it in your manufacturing, which puts you ahead of the game in a number of areas. So
yeah, thanks, Sarah.
I appreciate you being a guest.
Yeah, thank you. And if your guests want to learn more, you go to filtersdirectusa.com, check us out. And for your guests, for your viewers, Sarah, we're doing ECO50 as a discount code, so anyone can get 50% off their first order by using that code ECO50.
Number 50, like
Yep.
ECO 50. All right.
Yeah,
I'm putting that
ECO
right.
50. So even yourself.
Well, I always count myself first. I joke, but that's true. Because it's a great deal. Who wouldn't like to save 50%?
Yeah.
So, okay. So we've got all his information in the show notes. We'll remind you to use ECO 50 when you order from him because there'll be a code area for it and you'll get a 50% discount. So, Mark, thank you so much for being a guest. I wish you all the best. Have fun traveling with your family later this year.
Yeah, appreciate it, sir.
West, let me know.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me as a guest. I appreciate the invite.
You bet. Take it easy.
You too. Thank you.
You've been listening to the No Labels, No Limits podcast with best-selling author, change agent, and strategic business coach, Sarah Box. You can grab the show notes and find out how to work with Sarah at sarahbox.com/no labels, no limits podcast. We'd love this podcast to reach as many people as possible. Please remember to rate, leave a 5-star review, and share the podcast with someone you think would get value from this conversation. Till next time, keep taking those daily action steps to align your purpose to your principles and achieve your goals in business and life.